Hello, everyone. We'll start off with a simple question. Let me know if you can hear me all right on the stream. I just literally walked into the room, so I'm still a bit disoriented, but I hope uh, the audio is loud and clear. I am really excited for our Power Query stream here. I could see that we have people tuning in now from all over the world. Some of the usuals like Philip West from Southern California. Hello, Philip. How are you? And Eric from Netherlands. Hey, Eric. How are you? And this is Excel Works from Zambia. Hello, Excel Works. Welcome to our stream. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is for you. I just, it's about 4 a.m. in the morning in New Zealand. It's a little bit cold today, actually. And if you, I don't think you can actually hear the raindrops falling, but it has been raining all night. So there is no thunder, probably no thunder today. So it'll be quite an uneventful stream. And yeah, let's just read some of these messages. Kaushik from India. Hi, hi Kaushik. How are you? This is Salatni Gonzalez. I hope that I pronounced it right. From Canada. Hey, how are you? And Matt Ferguson as well. Another usual in the stream. And Inspirational and Meditation Center says loud and clear. Well, thank you so much. Yogesh says hello. Hi, Yogesh. How are you? And Chris also joins in. Hi, Chandoo. Hi, my friend. Nice to see again. Chris from South Africa. Hey, Chris. Nice to meet you again here on the stream as well. And this is Dr. Srinivasan. Hi from Texas. Hello, Dr. Srinivasan. All right. We are going to jump into a small presentation just like the usual. What I will do is I will set the agenda for us today, and then we will jump into, to start off, we will jump into Excel, and then I'll show you how to activate Power Query within Excel and how to get started from there. But halfway through the thing, I will go in and show you how to do the same or some of the other steps in Power BI as well, so that you will get a sense of where it is, how to find your bearings within both Excel and Power BI. I got to jump into this other window here. I will quickly run a poll as well, just to ask you how well do you know Power Query. This will kind of get a sense of where our audience is at. I have a feeling that most people are beginners, but I just thought, this is a good icebreaker activity for our stream. So I'll post this question now. How well do you know PQ? Intermediate and all right, that poll should have gone live on the stream, and yeah, if you check your live chat comments, you should be able to see that. And let's flash this welcome message. Welcome and thanks for joining this Power Query stream. If this is your first time here on my stream, a big hearty welcome to you, and a big warm welcome to all of the people who tune in every month or every now and then for the stream. Good to have you here on the stream. And if you're watching this on replay, again, thanks for joining me to learn Power Query. I do this every last Friday of the month, so if this is your first time, you're more than welcome to join me for the next month's stream as well. Every month it will be a fairly advanced topic, and we kind of go quite in depth. I show quite a lot of demonstrations and then take up as many questions as possible. Usually this goes between 90 to 1 hour, 20, like 2 hours basically. So, all right. What I want to do is I'll jump into the presentation here and then I'll switch back to the poll just to see As I could get a sense here, we got about 62% of beginners, which is really where I'm aiming to show the content. But I hope by the end of this session, you will um, you will you will not be a beginner of Power Query anymore. You will feel comfortable doing some of the data tasks and automations and some of the boring things that you do in your work. You should be able to take them and do them. Even if you don't feel immediately comfortable, you will not be scared, or you will not feel like I don't know anything about Power Query when it comes to it at the end of this session. Okay. And we are already getting some questions like these. What I recommend is you wait until we start the stream and look at the sample data and everything before posting actual Excel or Power Query questions, because that will help me address those questions in the context of what is being covered. We got someone from Wellington. This is awesome. D. Kiara from Wellington. Good to have you here, D. And this is Ramu. He says your voice is low. I guess you need to speak closer to mic. Let me know if others find my voice as low as well. I thought this is fine. I'm gonna quickly double check my mic settings here. Nope, it's the usual setting. So unless I'm just gonna move this a little bit closer just to be safe, but it is a fairly good one. Okay, others say audio is good. That is probably you having some sort of headphones or something. All right, let's just see here. Okay, I'm gonna close that window now, and let's just okay. So this is my presentation. Power Query, 10 ways to save time. And let's start with a silly joke. I saw this on Twitter the other day and I thought, oh, this is super funny. I need to put this as my starting slides. Who wants to clean data? Well, as it stands, 375 of you do. That's how many people are watching the stream, by the way. And then the next frame is, who wants to clean data? Nobody. This is pretty much the reality of our data analysis world, isn't it? Right? We all want clean data. We all want to be able to do awesome things with the data. But we don't want to clean the data because it's a boring, repetitive task that just gets annoying and gets complicated with every new system, new data source, and new type of thing that we are trying to build. So this is where I think Power Query really shines. It is one of those powerful additions to both Excel and Power BI, which lets you handle data-related tasks in a more elegant manner. So what we will do is, I got like 5 bullet points that are the agenda for this. What is Power Query? I'll demonstrate that when we get into that. And then I'll show you 10 cleanup examples. The way I think of Power Query is it's like a really efficient washing machine for all your dirty data or dirty laundry that is coming from other systems. It takes up everything, it will load it up, it'll properly clean it, and it'll give you nice outputs for you to do whatever else you want to do next. So, and the third one is I'll also talk a little bit about how once you have set things up, how do you manage the refresh, how do you update if things change, and what goes in that process. And then I will also talk about how to learn more, because the idea of this stream is to give you solid real life examples so that it will set you on a path of using Power Query for real life situations. But chances are whatever you will do in your work, that is not something that I have anticipated in this stream. I prepared examples based on my own way of teaching Power Query. So it will not cover everything that you want to do. So I'll talk about how to learn more, what resources that I recommend for Power Query. And finally, I will also take up your questions. So any questions that you have, I'm going to address them. I got Excel with me in this room because she just got up, but she's now gone under the computer table. Come on out, Excel. Go to your bed. Stay there. So those are the 5 things. Before we begin just the usual stuff, there are 3 things that I want you to be aware of. There's download files for you, how to handle the questions, and super chat. So blank data files are already uploaded. Please check the video description. All you got to do is, if you're watching it on YouTube, just beneath the video there would be like a video description box. Expand that and you will see the file details. If you have joined the stream more than 15 minutes ago, then you may not actually have them because you might have still have the stale copy of the description. You will have to refresh the page or something. I have also uploaded the completed workbook version 1.0. It's not fully complete, but it's kind of has most of the Power Query things that I really want to build. But at the end of the stream, I will upload another file, not immediately, but after maybe an hour or 2. So there will be files. So go and get them if you would like to follow along. You don't need to follow along. You can just sit back, enjoy your beverage or snack and watch me show you these things and take some notes mentally or on a paper or on phone and later on look at the files. If you have questions, more than welcome to ask. Please start your questions with a Q so that I can spot them when I'm scrolling through the comments on the stream. And please stay on the topic. The topic for today is Power Query. So I would love to address your questions, but as long as they are on Power Query, they will be helpful for our stream. If you have a generic Excel question, Power BI question, or any other questions, you are more than welcome to post it. I may or may not address it, but it will help me because once the stream ends, I download all the chat comments so that I can read them and then I'll use some of that for future material. And if you have posted a question, I have not addressed it, please do not repeat. It is quite rude and it will clog up the chat window for the rest of us. And it would be awesome if you can support the stream and my work through a super chat or a super message. It is really simple. On the live chat window, there is a dollar button or whatever button that looks like, and just click on it and send me a super chat or a super message sticker if you are enjoying the stream. All right. This brings us to the last topic, which is I got a surprise for you. Well, 2 surprises really, but we'll talk about the first surprise on the slides. The surprise is I'm doing a stream giveaway this time, and I'm giving away not 1, not 2, but 3 of these books, Collect, Combine, and Transform Data using Power Query in Excel and Power BI. I will be giving away digital download codes for 3 of our stream viewers. All you got to do is post a comment. Just comment anything funny, insightful. It doesn't even have to be funny or insightful, but leave a comment on the stream and I'll pick 3 winners randomly at the end of the stream. I'll try to do it during the stream, but if that's not possible or if it gets too much because I don't know why, then I'll do it at the end of the stream. Once the stream is done, I'll go and download and I'll do some random thing and then I'll announce the winners in the chat window down the video. But we are doing a giveaway, so hang around in the stream and it will be awesome to give away these books. These 3 books are sponsored by Gil Ravi himself, the person who wrote these books. I emailed Gil on Monday and I told him, hey, I'm doing this live stream and it would be awesome to give some of your books. Have you got any download codes? And Gil said, oh, here you go, these 3 codes are there for you. So it's really awesome that he chose to do that. And if you have never really read one of the Power Query books, this is the book that I recommend. It is pretty good. I also talk about other book recommendations at the end of the presentation. All right. That is it for the slides. We will go into these rest of the slides at the end of the session. For now, I'm just gonna open my data file and then I'll show my face for a minute. As I said, some of you may not have met Excel. Oops, that was loud. I just want to introduce Excel to you. She's yeah. Oh, this is super annoying. There she is. That is our dog Excel, by the way, and that really messed up all my audio and camera framing. But this is Alejandro V from Missoula, Montana, USA. He sends in a super sticker, I think. Thank you so much, Alejandro, for and sorry, Salim says, could we remove the banner, please? It's covering the screen. I think it is removed now. Yes, there you go. So there's quite a few comments here. Just Tanmay says, commenting just for the book. Always worth the try, Tanmay. We'll see how it goes at the end of the stream. Jim says, I appreciate getting a digital download of the books. Thanks. Well, we'll see how the giveaway goes. In future, please make your Excel files XLX format, not macro enabled Excel. This is a comment from Ron. I thought these are XLSX files that I have uploaded on the page. I always put XLX files, XLSX files, not the old format. This is Ashish Menon, says, my first time here on the stream, just enrolled into Excel 2.0 with dashboards. Looking forward to it. Yeah, that's one of my online classes that I run. Thank you, Ashish. Good to have you here, and thanks for joining the classes as well. All right. Just downloaded. It is staffdata.xlsx.xls. Oh, well, I'm really sorry for that. I think that was not intentional, but probably... Okay, if it is reading as XLS, it is still just Excel file, but hopefully that's not something that I was deliberately trying to do. Matthew Varghese also sends super sticker. Thanks, Matthew. And Abirian says, I always wondered how long it will take a parcel to go from New Zealand to Zambia. Let's try. Well, it should probably just take as long as an email takes time because it's a digital download. I'm not going to ship any physical books from New Zealand. And this is from Tirumala Krishnam Raju. Hope your Excel cutie dog follows your Power BI to be a powerful being for you. Oh, well. And we got a few more super stickers. I'll just quickly shout out them. Carla Murli, and then Sudha Somasundaran, as well as Ron V. Thanks, have followed you since beginning. And then Dr. Srinivasan as well. Big thanks to all of our supporters and everybody else who joined me on the stream. All right, let's jump into Excel here so that I can talk about Power Query. I'll switch between chat and doing the stream to keep it entertaining. I may be a bit distracted from time to time because for whatever reason, Excel decided to not sleep and she's now just going around the house, the office room, and, poking her nose into the dustbin and all the cables and everything. So if I suddenly go offline, it could be because she started chewing the cable. But let's just hope it's not going to happen. This is the last one that I'll read. Valentine M. I don't know if this counts as a comment. You remind me of a cricketer. Hopefully not a lousy one. All right, let's just jump into Excel. This is the sample file that I have provided you with. It is just made up data of our Awesome Chocolates company. What we have here is some of the employee data, And obviously it looks to be very clean, just as most data sets that we get when we try to work. But there are some problems. You can actually visually spot them. I'll just zoom up my screen so you can read some of this information. The columns all look good, but there is quite a few blank values, supposedly because we have not coded the other gender or whatever. And some employees have this within brackets cont information. It is supposed to be that if you are not a permanent employee, you're a contractor, your name will appear like this in the system. Again, for the system it works, but when you are trying to analyze and do something on the names or whatever, this is fairly annoying. Likewise, we got some dates joined. There is no termination date, supposedly because these people are still here. And these are some of the problems with the data. There's more data problems that we will introduce later on, but for now, these are the problems. So there could be many ways in which you can clean this data. You can manually clean it, you can do find replace, you can write formulas, you can do something else, or you can go back to the person who emailed it to you or sent it to you and then kind of have a scolding match with them, just really ask them to send it to you in a proper format and all of that. But let's just say this is what you end up with, and we need to analyze this data. So the first step naturally is to clean the data, and that is where Power Query comes in. Power Query comes in different flavors. You have Power Query within Excel because Excel is one of the most used data analysis tools. So Power Query is available within Excel. In modern Excel, it is already there. In slightly older versions of Excel, you may have to enable it. I'm going to use Excel 365 here, and it is appearing in the data ribbon in an area on the left-hand side called Get and Transform Data. So this is the big area here. I got a fancy little add-on this time to kind of zoom my screen. I think shift. So we'll have to do it like this, and then so that's where it is. I'll have to get a good hang of that. But this is my Power Query buttons. Okay, and but Power Query as a software and all the features that I'm showing you, everything will work as is or slightly better or slightly different, but pretty much the methodology and everything is exactly a replica within Power BI as well. So whatever you are learning here today, you can apply in two places, both in Excel and Power BI. This is why I feel like Power Query is this one application that every data analyst should at least try and learn. Because once you learn it, you can use it in two places and it becomes a good data skill to have, because any analysis that we do, they all must have quality data for us to begin with. And most of the time we end up with shit data like this. So this is where I think learning some of those data processing skills is necessary. Sometimes you do it with SQL, sometimes you do it with Python and other tools, but Power Query gives you more natural spreadsheet-like feel when it comes to managing data, and it is quite scalable as well. So, okay, enough intro with that. Let's just see how this works. What I will do is, in the example completed file, I've done it slightly differently, but I'll do it this way because that is more natural. So I will close this file and then I will open a brand new Excel file, and then we will try to fetch the cleaner version of data into this file by connecting to that other file where the dirty data is, because this way you have a bit more control on how things are and you don't get to have two copies of the data. So I'll make a blank workbook. This is the time when I fully turn off my face, but I just want to have a scan for, and just give a shout out to Ian and then Andreas as well for their stickers. And let's just go here. So this is Excel. As I mentioned early on in the stream, I'm going to show 10 examples. But the first 4 or 5 I will show in Excel. We'll take some questions, and then if possible, I'll switch to Power BI to show the other examples. But if it gets too late and I've been talking for like, let's say 9 hours, then we'll just finish it in Excel. So we go to data, and this get data is the area where you will find all the things. So we'll say get data from file. My data is in Excel workbook, but you could literally do this process, what I'm showing, for anything. You can use your SQL Server database, you could use your Azure Data Explorer, or you could use an XML file, a web page, a PDF file, or an entire folder. There's ways to do this. There are some more examples on my channel as well as on my website, so feel free to check those out. But for now, we will use good old trusty Excel file format. So from workbook, and we'll just have to point to the location where my files are. So this is my staff data file. This is, if those of you who are following along, you may want to try this. At least connect. You don't have to replicate all the steps, but once in a while, if you do, you won't feel super lost. So we will say import. Now, some of you may have done like text to columns and few other ways of importing data in older versions of Excel. What is happening here is at the starting point, the experience might be similar, but later on it gets more and more different, and it gets more and more automated, and you'll see the power of the Power Query very quickly. So this will show a navigator screen. This is usually the entry points within Power Query, where when you want to connect to a source, it will give you a navigator saying, within this source file that you want me to connect, I got all of these things. So it found a worksheet, and it kind of located the data that we try to get. So this is the data. We do know that this data is not good enough. There is some problems with it, so we will not load it. Load means I've got what I want, just get it to me in this Excel file. Whereas transform means I haven't really got what I want. I want to change some of the things with this data. So we'll click on the transform data. And this is when, ladies and gentlemen, we enter the world of Power Query. So you see what you're seeing here on the screen is nothing but Power Query. And this particular screen window here is called Power Query Editor. You could think of, if you have done any VBA programming within Excel, you're seeing the Excel spreadsheet, but if you go to Visual Basic Editor, you're then editing the Visual Basic code that is responsible for some of the things on the spreadsheet. Same with what we are doing here. We get into this behind the scenes screen that will talk more about your data and let you change things about it. So we got our Power Query Editor, and it kind of looks like an Excel spreadsheet, but it is a special type of screen. So we will understand a little more as we make progress. But given the fact that most of you may be seeing this for the first time or the first few times in your life, I'll kind of make some simple comparisons. So as I said, it looks like Excel, so we'll treat it like Excel. There is a ribbon on the top. Each ribbon will do certain activities. So we got home, transform, add column, and view. If this is your first time using Power Query, what I recommend is, again, this is something that is optional, but I highly recommend doing this. Go to view and enable formula bar. Okay, especially if you plan to learn more Power Query, then doing this will be very helpful. This is a one-time thing. You do it once, it sticks. So next time when you open Power Query, it will automatically show the formula bar across all of your Excel files. We'll go back here. Again, the actual screen, the way it is laid out is more or less similar, but certain things will be different depending on which version of Excel you are using and how old it is and all of that. But in the newer versions of Power Query, they have added this nice little green bar on the top. This is called a data profiling bar. It will tell you at high level the quality of the data that Power Query found in that file. So for example, gender column is not all the way green. And when I put my mouse pointer on it, it tells me that only 96% of the values are full, 4% are empty. Whereas termination date here, 9% are full and 91% are empty. So this will give you like that kind of a sense of quality of the data. If there are some errors, again, it will appear in a different color, but that's that. I'm just gonna quickly pop into the chat window here to see what is happening. There's quite a few comments there, probably because there's a giveaway. And I'm really sorry if I'm not able to read and respond to all of them. So Ron asks this question. In the source name, I renamed the sheet to data. In Navigator, it does not show that sheet name. So it is possible that Power Query is referring to a cached version of the file. You may have to save that file, close it before, and then come back here. Then it should read that as data. This is Vignesh. Hey Chandoo from Chennai. I'm here to get some add-on knowledge on Power Query, literally even sacrificing my time with my girlfriend. By the way, this is not for the book. Well, this I think I'll respond to that by saying not all heroes wear cape or whatever. Hari Prasad, all these learnings are very much useful in our real-time reports. Please explain more about unpivot option. Thanks advance. Okay, we'll do more of that later on. Can you please zoom a little bit? This is from Susan. Can you please zoom in a bit? Your screen is not clear. Thank you. I will try. This is the most annoying thing about Power Query. There is nothing to zoom here. Like in Excel, I can zoom the screen. Here, there is nothing. This is why I told you guys that I got this fancy thing. But the fancy thing is, it will only expand the pointer that I'm pointing to. But if I move my cursor there, you can see my cursor moving there. The zoom is not following me. So I'll have to investigate a little more on how to get some of that done. But I'll try to do the zooming thing every now and then if I'm doing something critical. All we did is load the file, so really not that much. And this is Ani saying, kindly close the chat box. You can disable the live chats on your stream view within YouTube. There's nothing that I can do. The whole point of doing a live stream instead of a recorded video is so that I can interact with you and talk to you. So I prefer to have the chat window and do it. Barbara sends in a super sticker as well. Thanks, Barbara. And this is from Bren. He says, or they say, I'm not able to see the column information. What am I missing? As I said, the column profiling is something that is added recently into Power Query. I don't know how recently. It has been a while now. But if you are using like Excel 2013, 2016 or Excel 365, but like a few versions behind, then you may not have that feature. I suggest looking into the view and see if you need to enable some of these things. I've not enabled any of them. So the green bar was something that is there, but I could be wrong. Okay, we will go back here. Some people are saying the screen not clear kind of things. It is not something that I'm controlling. Like there's no button here that I'm cranking up or down to reduce the quality or anything. It is just, there's a lot of variables, probably your bandwidth and how busy YouTube is. And if there is like a live music concert happening, then probably my thing will be slightly pushed down or whatever. Anyhow, we got the data here. We have a job we need to clean. But before we clean, let's quickly understand some of the areas on the screen. The top area is called ribbon. This whole window is called Power Query Editor, and it will have, broadly speaking, 3 big areas within this. You have your queries panel on the left hand side. This will list all the queries that you have built. Right now there is only one query, so it is called sheet 1, and that is what it shows here. And we'll go all the way here. These are the query settings. So I can customize some of the query related aspects here. And that is the preview of the query. You might think, hey, what is this query that you keep talking about? We are looking at data here. Why don't we call it as table? Well, within Power Query, the whole process is around queries. It is another way of thinking table of data, but there's more technical differences there. What is really happening here is we are building a query. The way this query works is don't worry, I didn't go anywhere. I'm just getting my sketch pens so that I could make a drawing for you. We'll do one of these things now. I'll make a drawing. So we got our Excel file here. That's the Excel file. And it is dirty, not clean. What we need is not this. What we need is a clean cut of data. That's what we are looking for. So the process of going from here to there, you could think of that as query. Right. Well, again, if you look at the dictionary definition of the word query, query is basically asking. But within the world of data analytics and database, you can also synonymously use query for taking something, changing its shape and size and nature to get to another state. So this is what query is. Hence the name Power Query. You may have already heard some of the other querying things. SQL is another type of querying thing. Structured query language is also used to take something, turn it into something else. That something can be one thing, it can be many things, like it could be 2 different tables and you want to combine them, get one final table, all sorts of things. And then along the way, the Microsoft product managers had this crazy idea. Wait a second, query sounds too complicated. Let's make it simplified. So then they decided we're going to rebrand this as get and transform data. Okay. Now, I don't know about you, but this is quite a mouthful to say, and it doesn't really do any better job of explaining that than this. I mean, given that that is a technical term, but anytime you see get and transform data, you'll be like, what is this? So this is the reason why within Excel, sometimes Power Query is the ribbon areas are all called get and transform data. And then you go into the query editor, it also says Power Query Editor. So no one knows what it's going to be called next year. So we'll just keep calling it Power Query. So the process that is happening all of within this is nothing but querying. But within the world of Power Query, because you're not really taking one and somehow magically turning it to the other, you need to actually go through 6-7 steps. So there will be some steps applied at each stage. So we start with the Excel file, we then do one thing, we then do another thing, we then do one more thing. So that's the steps. So now we'll go back to the screen, and then you can connect these dots with what is happening on the screen. So here you can see that these are my queries. These are the query steps. So within this query, even though we thought we just loaded the data, we haven't really deliberately done anything. It has somehow done 4 steps already. Okay, you can go and kind of read the steps. If you click on an individual step, it will show you how the data looked at that point in time. So here at the source step, this is how it is looking. Then within the navigator, we told Excel that Power Query that I want to go to this sheet. So it went there. And then it recognized that there is a row of headers in the first row. So it automatically promoted that and then applied some data type changes. So this is where we ended up with right now. We got 4 steps done and the data is looking like that. These are the steps. We'll start off with the very simple thing. We'll name this query as staff data. So you can type any name, press enter. You'll see that the query name changes and it kind of reflects here as well. Awesome. Right now, the very first thing that we want to do is fix this gender problem. The gender column has some blank values, and when it comes to doing any kind of distributions or analysis of how many people we have by each gender within the department or whatever, it gets complicated if there is blank values there. So let's there could be any number of reasons why these are blank, but I'll give one reason, because hey, I made the data, so I make the rules. So the reason why these gender things are blank is because the legacy system where we are using to keep our employee data is not capable of storing the non-binary gender. So that's why it is coming as blank. So wherever it is blank, we would like to simply put that as other. Okay. So we want to add a data processing step which simply says if the gender column is blank, then just put the word other there. So right click. There could be any number of ways of doing this. But essentially, we are looking for the words null and replacing them with other. Okay. If it is blank, Power Query usually says that as null. So we select that column, and then there are multiple places where you can find it. So if you go to transform, you will see that there is a replace values option. It's basically like find replace. So we will add that as a replace value. What do we want to replace? We want to find null. This needs to be in small letters, and then replace with other. Okay, let's try this here. No, it's gone. So we want to null with other, and then when you click OK, Power Query will add a data processing rule. This is called replaced value, and it will replace. You might think this is quite manual. What are we talking about automating here? What we did is just manual. Well, it's not manual. We are teaching Power Query that whenever I import data from that Excel file, if you find a blank in the gender column, just make it other. So right now with the current data set, it is working. But in future, if you get a new file with, let's say, 600 employees, you run the import process again, it will automatically do the other step for all of those values. So that is the beauty of this. We now added another step. So every time you add a step, it will appear in this applied steps bin. Okay. And if you make a change of your mind, you like, oh, other is not good enough, we need it to be something else, you can change the step. To change the step, locate the step which you want to change, and there should be usually like a gear or a cog symbol next to it. If you click on it, it will open the screen again for you to make any adjustments. I'm not going to change this. I just thought I'll show that to you. So this is our number one first transformation that we have done within Power Query. Okay. At this point, you may be tempted to go and test it out, but I'll do a few more things and then we'll test it out once, and then we'll come back for more. I'll also read some of your questions at that stage. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to take this name column and fix this contractor mess. You can see that certain names have contractor next to them within brackets, and it's not even the full word contractor, it's a CONT. And if you are looking this file in your computer while watching the stream, you will notice that it's not as simple. Some people have their name, space, and then bracket contractor. Other people have their name, no space, just brackets contractor. So it's basically more messed up than it looks on the screen. So what we want to do is we want to first figure out if it is just a name or it also has this word cont next to it. Fortunately, it will always be just CONT, but that's how it is formatted. So we'll select this name column and we will split it. We will say split it if you find an open bracket, okay, open parentheses. So right click, find the split column option. Within Power Query, there are many places where you can do same operation. So usual place for me to look for things that I want to do are right click and then see if that is available there. If it is not available there, then I start poking in the ribbon. So usually within the transform ribbon is where I will find things. You might think, I see the same buttons within add column and transform. How are they different? We will understand that at a little point later in the stream when I show you how to add column and how that is different from transform. But for now, we will say right click on the name, split column. You can split in any number of ways. I'll split by delimiter. Okay. You can see that there are some other interesting ways to split. For example, non-digit to digit. This is awesome for you if you have data where both text and numbers are mixed up and you want to separate the text with numbers. Excellent way to do that. But we will use the delimiter option. And the delimiter needs to be, it's not space, it's not one of these. So I'll say custom open bracket. And when you are splitting, you can also tell Power Query how you want your splits to be done. You want it to be once at the leftmost or rightmost or each occurrence of delimiter. So these are excellent options for you depending on how messed up your data is. Sometimes you get like 5 people names in one cell, then you would want this each occurrence of delimiter option. Whereas other times like this, I don't want this to split it into 16 columns, even by accident. I just want it to do it once at the leftmost because I know the leftmost, if the first parentheses is where the employee type would be. So we'll do it like that. And okay. So this will add one more step. Actually, it added 2 steps, but it will give you 2 name columns, name 1 and name 2. Okay. Let's try this again. So you can see that is name 1. There is another name 2 as well. I'm just going to quickly pop over to the chat window to see what is going on there. So there's a nice tip from MPP. MS Zoom utility app may help with screen share and zooming. I'll definitely try that out next time, man. Thank you so much. And this is a question from Prebling. Why do we need to write null for replacement with other? You can try by not writing anything as well. And if it works, that works. But I found that just writing null makes it more explicit for you. When you write it in small letters, Power Query will treat it as null and it'll work. Bas Zio says, another great session. Thanks, Chandoo. Thank you, Bas. That's good to hear. I hope everybody else is enjoying as well. I'm having fun. And finally, Excel calmed down. So I won't shout, but I'll keep my usual volume. And this is a question from Anguraj. Why didn't the open bracket come after the split? This is because that's how the delimiter, the word delimiter means it's actually a separator. So it was looking for that separator as soon as it found it split. So that is the splitting point. So it will not appear in either left-hand side or right-hand side. It will be gone. If you want to keep it, then you would need to use another technique. And this is Craig. He says, I find the automatic type detection creates more problems than it solves. It almost always delete that step when it happens and then manually set types later. Awesome comment, Craig. This is pretty much how I like my types as well. But I find that especially for the early stages when people are learning Power Query, it's easier to just leave them on rather than worry about what's going on all points of the screen. I remember reading somewhere in Power BI updates blog post that they're now giving it as a choice rather than a default. So hopefully that happens. But if you don't know what this means, or if you're like, oh, what is these two guys talking about, then just ignore that comment for now. Yeah, we will talk more about that later on. So Masiage says, this query fixes the source, file, tab, and table. Can you allow user to choose the file and tab himself? That is the whole point of the navigator screen. When the navigator screen appears, you are picking a choice like, I want this. And whatever you pick, then all of the steps will happen from there on. But if you want a bit more flexibility, like sometimes it will be in sheet 1, sometimes it will be in sheet 2, or sometimes it will be sheet 3, then you will have to get a bit more creative with the way your query is built. You could of course do it. There are ways to do it, but I'll leave that as a fairly advanced exercise for now. Okay, so we got our name 1 and name 2. Name 1 looks all right. It is proper name. Name 2 is where the problems begin. Before we fix the name 2, let's go to name 1. And we do know that certain people had this extra space before the open bracket can't begin, right? So there's an extra space somewhere. We don't know where the space is because we can't see the space, right? So how do we remove that extra space? This sort of an operation is called trimming. Again, a technical word, but maybe you already know the word trim from Excel trim formula. So we'll right click on the name 1. We will say transform trim. Now, some of you might be thinking, how the heck would I know where to find this word trim? I mean, I have been using Power Query for a while, so I know where to find it. But if you have just started using, you wouldn't really have a clue where to find it. So one way is just keep poking your nose all around the place until you find it. But another option is you can also use the ribbon on the top, and from there, and this is super funny. Actually, from there, it is not in anything, but it is actually in the format option. So it's not in something else, it's in the format. So, but wherever you find it, you make a mental note of this is where it is, and next time you will just go there. So we'll trim it. This will remove any extra spaces at the either ends of the text. So if there is a space in the beginning or at the end, it will be gone. And Bharat sends in a super sticker as well. Thank you, Bharat. So that fixes the name 1. It is called name.1. We will fix the actual column name later on. We will try to do the column renaming kind of stuff at the end of the query, not at the middle of the query. That will be easier. And then where it says name 2, this is my employee type. So if it is null, that means you are a permanent employee. If it is cont open bracket, then you are a contractor. So what we will do is we will use this name2 value to introduce an employee type column that will kind of determine what sort of an employee you are. So this means now we want to add a column. Okay, so we'll go to add a column. The column is conditional, right? It should be permanent if this is null, and it should be contractor if you are cont open bracket. So we will click on add column, conditional column. You can also write the code yourself, but it's a lot easier to just use this. And this will give you an option. What is the column name? Column name is employee type. And it is kind of like an if formula builder. Basically, you just build it yourself and then it will work. So if my name.2 equals, and we'll just say cont open bracket, then the output needs to be contractor. Else, it needs to be permanent. Okay, so this is how you can build. You can reverse the condition as well. You can say name.2 equals null, then it is permanent, else contractor. You could use any other methods to do this as well. And when you click OK, we get an employee type column all the way at the end. Usually added columns will always go to the end, and it will appear in a nice and clean format there. Now that we have added this, we no longer need this column here. So we'll right click on name2 and remove it. Okay. You might think, whoa, what's happening here? It's all going super fast. Well, really, all we did is we did the 3 steps. So I'll do a quick illustration. This is the only time I'll kind of slow down and explain the actual process. Later on, we'll try to make it a little fast, just so that, you're not stuck here with me on this stream until Christmas. But we got a messed up name. So I'll call this as name dirty. And there's some names. Step 1, we split it with an open bracket delimiter. So that's the bracket, and we split it. Once I have split, step number 2 is we ended up with 2 names. So we'll call this as N1, N2. And for N1, we then trimmed it. Basically remove the space from beginning or end. For N2, which is my second part of the name, we then used this little thing to add a column which looks at the N2 value, and then it decides the output. Basically, if you are null, then you are permanent. If you are not null, then you are contractor. So P and C. So once all of these steps are done, we then went and kind of deleted this guy, N2. You might think, if you delete this, how are these 2 still in place? They will also be gone, because that's how Excel formulas work, don't they? When you write a formula on a cell to do something like an if formula on the contractor type cell, if you delete the original source cell, then the if formula no longer works. That is where the crucial difference between Excel and Power Query emerges. Within Power Query, it's basically every step uses a copy of the data from the previous step. It's kind of a loose definition, but yeah. So it's not really making a live reference. It is basically saying, in that step you had that column, let me take that and do this and introduce a new column. So this new column is introduced based on a copy of the data from the previous step. So it's not live data, it is just a copy. So if this is deleted, this will still work because it is coming from a copy kind of thing. Again, a very loose way of saying the internal thing might be more different and complicated than what I made it sound. So this is the beauty of Power Query. That means you can kind of build more complex steps that rely on internal things, and then you can knock off all those individual things and finally get just the cleaner output as the way you want, without having to maintain 67 helper columns in your file. So another big reason why such cleanup activities are more easy and native to handle within Power Query rather than using formulas or VBA or anything else for that matter. Yeah, I just want to shout out to these people, Jagoda and Eben, for their lovely super stickers. Big thanks. All right. So we'll go back to the thing here. I got my name one, I got my employee type, I got my department, date joined, termination date, salary, employee ID. Okay. So what we will now do is we will then look at this data. The purpose why we are doing all of this cleanup is because we have to produce a month-end employee report where we need a clean cut of data, but also we need 2 more cuts of data. One is we want to have an extract of all our recent joinees. In this case, the recent joinees are people who have joined the organization since, let's just say arbitrarily, 1st of July 2021. So I want a recent cut of data. That's another cut. Likewise, I want a second cut of data, which is just all the people who have left the organization. So I got one data, but I for my reporting purposes, I need 3 different types of data. One is my recent joinees, one is my exits, and one is all employees. So staff data gives me all employees, but I also need to make these 2 other, for lack of better word, views of data. Same data, but represented differently. So we want a copy of staff data, but it is staff data table. It looks exactly like that, but it has fewer rows depending on the conditions. So we will create that. To create a copy of this, we got staff data. We'll right click on this, and then you can do a couple of different things. You can duplicate, you can reference. So again, many people confuse between these two, like, oh no, what is a duplicate, what is a reference? I'll show you. We'll duplicate. What a duplicate will do is it will duplicate all the steps as well. This query is running in parallel, and it will do all the steps that you have done in the other query. So that's what a duplicate is. So sometimes you may want to change an in-between step to create a different data set. That is when you would use a duplicate. We don't need to use a duplicate. Duplicate means we are doing twice that work. We already have done all of the work once. So in this case, what we will do is we'll make a reference. A reference, on the other hand, will only have one step. It simply says, get me a copy of the data as of that data. So this is just a reference. So this reference query, we will rename it as new joins. And here we'll simply add a filter condition on date joined. So date joined, click on this. It's almost like Excel filter, date filters, and then we'll say in the after and after or equal to, and then we'll just type the date. So it will give you a filtering of the data, and you can see what it is done. We'll just do a, so it's filtering on that, and it will give me all the people who have joined since 1 of July 2021. I told you early on in the stream that you need to enable the formula bar. So I'll show you now how that particular formula looked for filtering. This is just for your own amusement. There is no real value in learning these formulas at the early stages, but as you get more and more sophisticated user of Power Query, you will have to start messing with these formulas as well a little bit. So that's where learning that language helps. So I'm gonna just think what is the best way to show this on the screen. Maybe I'll open the Word and paste it there with big font. That's too big. All right, hopefully you can read it here now. It says table.select rows source each date join greater than or equal to hash date 2021 7 to 1. Most of it kind of makes sense. This is the date that we have set, so that's that. Each date join again kind of makes sense. Why there is a word source and what is table.select rows. As I said, the intention of this is to not introduce this language to you. Power Query uses a special language called M to kind of program things that you're seeing on the screen, and you can learn more about it. But the way this programming language loosely works is at each step there is a formula, and the formula usually takes the previous step item. In this case, the previous step is source, so it refers to previous step, and it will do some operation on it. So that's kind of a very loose way of understanding this. I won't go into more technical detail for now because it will get more complicated and muddy. But if you enable the formula bar, at least passively you can learn the language. You don't have to learn it, but having the formula bar is like, you know, let's say you suddenly go uproot your life and decide to live in, I usually say Paris, but I'm just going to say Hyderabad. And you don't know any Telugu language, which is the language most people there speak. But fortunately, you got this friend, slightly annoying, but hey, friend, who will just literally translate everything that is happening and just show it to you on their face all the time. So you're not there to learn Telugu language. You're there to have fun and enjoy and whatever. But every now and then you're watching his face and you learn that, oh, this means that, this means that. So that's pretty much what we are doing with this formula bar. You have it on there. You can see that, oh, 7-1. And then the next month you will have to change this to, let's say, 8-1 or 6-1. You don't have to go through all the things. You can just go here and type 6 and press enter, and bang, it changes. So It's that simple, this language, once you start learning. That's why I've told you to enable the formula bar so you can see what's happening for every step, and if needed, make changes once in a while without having to go through 6 screens and click at a lot of different places. Okay, so this is new joinees. We'll add another another reference. This is my exited staff. And this is where we will simply say, if your termination date is not null, that means you've gone. And we want a copy of your data. So I got my 3 different queries now. Notice that this query and that query are kind of dependent on that. So when Power Query does its job, first it will finish this, and then it will generate these 2 outputs. Okay, I think that is a very good progress on Power Query front. We have made lots of changes to the data. We've now created 3 outputs from one set. So let's close and get this data into Excel so that we could actually do some analysis. So how to get that? It's simple. When you finish your job here, you click on this big save button here, close and load. There are different ways to load the data. For now, we'll just click on this and then see what happens. It will list all the queries. It will load separate tables in separate pages. As it is doing its job, we quickly realize, dang it, we forgot to name this column properly. It says name.1. It should be employee name. We'll do that later. But for now, I think this is a very good start. We made some changes to the data. We collected some output. Now, if you have new data in this file, so this is my staff data file. All I got to do is, we'll do that first. We'll go here. We'll change something from this data. Okay, something very easy so we can all follow along. We'll change Barfoni's salary, the very first person, from 75,000 to 89,000. And also move them from procurement to sales department. All right. We'll save this file. Close it. Come here. Notice what happens to this. Right click and then refresh. You can also go here and refresh. You can also right click on the queries panel here and refresh. Pretty much the same thing. I'll just refresh this from here. Instantly it will refresh. It will show the updated data. It will calculate the permanent employee type. All of this information is done without you doing anything. If Barfoni is a new employee or an exited staff, their data will appear here as well. In this case, they're neither. They've joined all the way back in July of 2020, so they'll just appear as it is. All right, let me just quickly have a scan of what is happening in the chat area. We seem to be having some spammers in the chat. So Chandan Rai asks how to make a key based on employee ID and date joined. I hope others know what the word key means. Key is basically like a unique identifier in a way, and you can make it easily. I think somebody else kind of gave you some suggestions. I'll talk about this because it's an interesting question and maybe others may want to know when I switch back to the screen. Shikhar Sain says, where reply or this stream are available, actually have to rush. So just wanted to ensure this will be available. So the plan is this will be on the same page where you're watching the YouTube video. So if possible, just like the video so that it will appear in your liked videos. And that way you have a place to go back. Otherwise, if I've emailed you saying it's starting in some time, then you can always click on the link again and it'll take you back to the replay link when the stream is done. Yeah, so that's that. And let's see this. Anish says, for the explanation of deleted column where if condition was applied, does it imply that till the column exists, the formula will still be dynamic and freeze once the column is deleted? It's not really like that. while you may want to think about it like that because that will kind of help you mentally understand what's going on, the reality is slightly different, and it gets a bit more muddier as you start building more and more queries. So for that reason, a better way to think about it is, at each step, Power Query will reshape your data and make a new set of data. And from there on, it will just use that data. So it kind of moves forward. And at each step, it makes a new table, and then that table is used further on. But it is not as simple as that as well, but it is a better mental model than freezing and that kind of thing that you're mentioning. Simon says, can you format the Word doc as a landscape so it's easier to read, please? Well, we are too late for that now. It was already beyond that, but so Adnock Backup says, can we refresh the query file while the source data file is still opened? I've never tried that, but I think it shouldn't really be a problem. Because the way Windows refresh and all works is, I'll show you here. This file is open. I'm just gonna make Denison a contractor. Okay, we added that. We just gotta save this, and we'll see. I've not tried it in a while, but it does work. So you can see that this is a contractor now, even though that file is open. So that's not really a problem. Yeah, I think that's that. Ansto says, what if the staff data next time is dynamic regarding more or less columns, columns orders changed, and the format in the columns are changed? Again, possible within Power Query to dynamically handle most of these kind of data mess ups that happen in real life. The intention of this stream is to introduce you to the concept and kind of not overwhelm you with all the technical details of what is possible and what is not. But what I recommend is stay around until the end of the stream when I talk about how to learn more, where to go from here on. And hopefully some of your questions, like parts of it, will be addressed later on in the stream. But if you still have questions, you will find those additional resources valuable. Everything is possible. It just takes more steps. That reminds me, I wrote some. Well, I didn't write jokes. I think about when I do every stream every month end. I like to put some dad jokes into the stream just to make it a little bit funny and amusing for you, as well as a little bit excitement for me, I guess. So one of the jokes that I wrote is this. What is the favorite exercise of a Power Query developer? Any guesses? Well, even if you guess, you couldn't tell me because I'm the only one talking on this stream. It's taking steps. I'll stop now. All right, let's see what this is. Dr. Srinivasan says, what happens when the column header is changed? So this is related to what the other question is, isn't it? We'll see what happens. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't work. This will take us back to what our friend earlier said, which is Power Query is adding these automatic data type change steps, which can create problems. So I'll show you what that problem looks like because I think this is more interesting. So we got our file here. Some over-enthusiastic data analyst who is preparing this file and sending it to you decided that empid is a bit too complicated. We'll just delete the space here and call it as empid. Okay, save this. We'll see what happens here. Refresh. We'll get an error here. The column emp space id of the table wasn't found. And when you get an error during the refresh, it will not mess up the current table that is loaded to Excel. It will simply just give this kind of like warning symbol on the query. So it's saying further refresh is not possible. Neither of these are broken, but they will be broken once you try to build it. So we'll go and fix this problem here. We'll go to the edit query. So this takes us to the next topic, which is we have built something, we have refreshed it. How do I go back and edit it? Now there is a problem, so we have to go and edit it because we can't go back to that file and change it. That file is coming through us from a whatever things system is giving it to you. So we can't change the system, we have to change it here. So you can edit the query in multiple places. If you have the queries and connections panel visible, you can right click, edit. But let's just say you closed it away. Now you can't get it back. You can go to the data ribbon, click on queries and connection to bring this back, and from here you can edit. Alternatively, again, this depends on the version of Excel you're using, but if your table is a result of a query, there is a query ribbon as well, and from here you can click on the edit. There might even be an edit button. I can't find it there. So whatever way you find it possible, you go into the edit screen. This will take you back to your Power Query. And you see this little red color bar now. It's no longer green or whatever. It is red because there is an error. The error is happening at this stage of the refresh. If I go to source, it is green. That means things are working here. Things are working here as well. And things were not working here. Okay, so we will see how to fix this problem. We'll just say start by refreshing the preview. This will kind of refresh the file within here. And now it says emp ID without a space, promoted headers work. Change a type. This is a step that Power Query adds every now and then because Power Query is what I call a strongly typed language. Again, a technical term, but essentially what it means is Power Query doesn't like things to be loosely hanging. So if there is a column in your table, Power Query wants to know what data type it is. It is an annoying thing for it. Think of it like this. You may have like an annoying friend back in school days who is always a couple of steps behind and every now and then catches up to you and then says, what's happening? What's happening, guys? What's happening? So this is what Power Query is. It really wants to know what the column type is at every point of the journey. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but every now and then it needs to know what's happening, what's happening, what's happening. So that's the thing. And if you don't tell what is happening, like you don't tell what these column types are, it will take the liberty of deciding on its own. So it says, oh, you're not telling me what these columns are. I will do it myself, bro. I'm going to change the data types. The big problem of this changing data types is it will happen as of the first time you build the query. The first time you build the query, it added this little piece of formula here. Time for us to put it in the Word. This time I'll do it like this so it's easy for you to read. No. So hopefully you can see this here. The step is called table.transform column types. Again, we have very long name. It's saying hash promoted headers, which is the previous step. So it's saying take the data in the previous step and then emp space ID column should be integer type. int64.type is basically integer. Name is text, gender is text, department is text, age is integer, date is date, whatever. You see the big problem here? This is assuming that the column will be called emp space ID, but it's no longer called emp space ID, and that's why this problem is happening in the first place. One easy fix is you can just delete this step. This step is useless. Like, what is the point of this? So we'll delete that. This will not make any assumptions. It will just promote the headers. Whatever the header is, it gets promoted. So it will go up there. It will still split. It will. But the problem is every time you introduce a new column, Power Query wants to do this, what is happening, guys, kind of thing. And then it will change the data type again. But this time it is only doing it for those new columns. So it's not a big problem. And it works. No issues. So that's that. But it's not going to be perfect because... Okay, well, I said it too soon, I think. Yeah. It is not going to be perfect because it wasn't really working for the termination date. You see what's happening with the termination date? It's not filtering the terminated employees anymore. This is because when we are not converting it into any data type, Power Query assumes that it is ABC123. I'll show it to you. You can see that that's the data type ABC123, which simply means it could be anything. I don't care about this anymore. I'll just call it as ABC123. So the problem with ABC123 is certain things like filtering out dates cannot happen because Power Query is not technically thinking about them as dates. So that's why this is happening. One way is we could probably change the data type of that to date. And now this will make the non-dates as null and our exited stuff will work properly. Again, if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed with all of this and you're thinking, man, a simple column name and it is breaking everything about this awesome software. Well, because it is kind of built like a bunch of dominoes, right? Every step relies on the previous step to work properly. And in a previous step, if I made an assumption that there would be emp space ID column, then it won't really work anymore. So you got to keep all of that in mind. But once this is done, you save it, then it will refresh your query and it'll give you that. So that is a very long but hopefully fruitful and interesting answer for that question. Okay. Ron says, don't give up your job for a stand-up comedy. Oh, well, if people, as many people will watch my stand-up comedy gigs as this stream, then that should be fine. But otherwise, I'll be like back to Excel. I think I'll make Excel for some more time. Okay, let's see. Rohit asks this question, which is, can you add a calculated column to the query during the transformation process? Yes, you can. That is the next topic that we are going to coincidentally talk. So I will show that to you. But this is more interesting question as well. Purvi says, if I want to run these steps on another file, how do I replicate it? This is a very, very interesting question. And this is something that I hear pretty much every time I demo Power Query in a live situation. People are like, man, I love this. But I don't want to do this same 16 steps in all my files. How do I do it like that? So we'll talk about some more of those in a while. But for now, let's just finish reading some of these other questions. I think Ron already gave an answer to you, Purvi, there. And then this is from Chandra. Can we get data from PDF file? Yes, you can. I don't want to show all the steps here because it's just there's no value in going into a different direction. But if you go to my website, one of my recent articles is called Extract Data from PDF to Excel step-by-step tutorial. So this is where I show you how to use the from PDF option of Excel's Power Query. It goes into quite detail. And if you like to watch me do these things, there is a video on YouTube as well. So please feel free to check it out and that'll give you more details on that. Manju says, what if for the next report we get new source file? If we rename the file as the file we have, the source file name, how would these steps work on that file? So if you rename the new reports file, like every month end you're getting an extract from your whatever system keeps this data, if you rename it as this file and put it in the same folder location, then everything will work just as it is. You don't even have to worry about it. You refresh, Power Query will go to the file, it'll get it, because the connection is kind of made to that specific file name. As long as the file name is kept, it will work. The challenge becomes more hard when the file names are not kept consistent and you still want to be somehow able to run this. that is when you need to think a little bit more on how do I automate that step as well. Again, it is possible. I'm not revealing all the clues here, but you can finish learning and then go and think more actively about how to change some of the beginning steps to do that. Hiren Parik says, can VBA macros record all these steps? Unfortunately not, because the VBA engine is, I don't think it can reach into Power Query engine there, but Power Query has a different way of recording the steps. I'll show that to you because that will answer the other question that we had as well. So let's just jump back here for the full screen view. I'll show you first how to take this data, all the steps, and then apply them on another thing. So we will go query, edit, and from here, first up, I got my nice query built. All of these steps are there, and I want to take them and apply them in a different place. Then I just want to see the actual raw code that is being produced by this. So we could go to view, and from here you can click on the advanced editor. Don't be scared by this name, it won't bite you. When you click, it will open up a screen like this where it will give you the Power Query code. Use it to go from your source file to this. I'll just copy this. I'm gonna paste it here. There's almost no point explaining this code because it's just too complicated at this early stages of learning Power Query, but it is in a way kind of like plain English, so you can kind of read it like a really boring, complicated novel and try to make sense of what's happening. We'll see. So this is where the code begins. It always starts with a let, a special keyword within Power Query, and source is my Excel workbook, blah, blah, blah. You can see the full path. This is where my file is coming. So if your path changes, this is what thing that you would replace. So you can kind of take this, copy, open a new query, paste it in the advanced editor, and then adjust this bit alone to map it out to different folder, different file, and bingo, everything else will work as it is. So that's in a very loose nutshell fashion how you would take this and extend it. There are more complicated techniques. You can even build like a template file and use it and as best practice and whatnot. I'll leave rest of it for your imagination. Okay, so the first thing that we want to achieve is we want to add a column that will do some calculations. For the purpose of this, we got some salary data, so I thought it would be cool if we can add a bonus information for the salary. We'll do two scenarios. So the first one is fairly simple, but then the second one is going to be more interesting. But both of them will give you. So we got my salary. The first one is everybody gets 3% bonus. So bonus is 3% of the salary. How do we add it? That's number one. Second, we will continue this theme. We got date joined. We would like to calculate the tenure of employee. That is how long they have been here in years. So date joined will remain. We will add a new column that will tell me what is their total gap from today to their date joined, and that should update automatically as if the date changes. So tomorrow you open it, should refresh, it will change the calculation. So tenure. The third one is we want to calculate bonus based on a mapping table. The mapping table will have for each department what is the percentage for each of our 4 or 5 departments, and we want to use that mapping table to calculate the bonus. So this is what we are going to do next. This is basically now moving away from some of the basic stuff that we are doing into more practical hands-on stuff. It gets interesting. It only took us 90 minutes to get there, but hey, no complaints. So 3% bonus is very simple. You get to salary. Now we are adding a column, so you want to go to the add column. Okay, and there are many things that you could do within the add column. I'm not showing my screen. Sorry. We go to the select the salary, and then we go to the add column. And from here, we'll simply say, do a standard arithmetic operation of multiplication. Okay, You could do a couple of different things. I think you can do a percent off, which is more than multiplication. So we'll just do the percentage off, and then we'll see what that will do. So we'll say 3% off. So I'm just going to type 3 there. When you click OK, that's not wrong. I think that is wrong. I'm going to delete that step. So to delete the step, you would add it. You would simply click on that little X mark next to it, and that step is gone. It's like undoing. We'll select the salary. I think we need to have percentage. Yeah, this is 3. Yep, that works. So I'll repeat these steps because it wasn't really smooth. So we want to select the salary, go to add column, standard, percentage. I think percent off is like a reverse of percentage. And then we'll say 3 for 3%. When you click OK, it will calculate 3% of 89,000 and print it here. It will name that column as percentage as well. And it will have decimal point if needed. So that's why the data type is 1.2. And it comes up here. Now, if you want, you can change things about it. For example, we want to round it up. We can then keep the percentage column, because now we don't want to add a new column. We want to change this column itself. That is where you will go to the transform ribbon. And from here, we will say rounding, and we will simply round it up to the nearest digit. So that will that. And then we will rename this column as bonus. I'll double click on the column header, and then we'll call this as bonus 1. Why am I calling it bonus 1? Because I got my second bonus as well, which is using the mapping table. So to keep it simple, we'll call it as bonus 1. And I got my bonus column. Notice that this bonus column is calculated here, but it will appear on the new joinees table as well as exited staff table. This is because there are references to the original query. So whenever this query changes, these two will automatically pick up those additional bits. If you want to see the bonus right next to salary before the employee type, you can click on the bonus and move it in the middle. It will rearrange the columns as well. Likewise, let's just say you don't want employee ID to be here. It should be all the way at the end. You can move it there. It doesn't matter how things are in the original file, but when they get saved and sent to Excel, this is how it will go. So you can rearrange columns like that. So that's my bonus. Let's see. Okay, I think everybody seems to be along the same place. So that's my bonus one. We will calculate the tenure as well. The tenure calculation that I'm going to show is not going to be super accurate. This is because some of our employees have left, but we will just try it as a start, and then you can later on fix it. So first thing is we will convert this date join to a date column. That way it will be easier for us to do the date operations. So right click, change type, date. There are multiple dates here. Depending on how your data is, you can use one of these options. We'll just use the date, and that will convert that. And from here, date joined is now there. We will add a new column. When you select a column, depending on the type of the column, certain buttons light up on the screen. So you can see that if I select the number column, this is lighting up. But if I select the date column, this thing lights up. So from the date, we will add the age option. Age is the word that Power Query uses. What it means is age of the date as of today. So essentially tenure. So we'll add age. It will give you the output in this format, 4020000, which is basically how many days, minutes, hours, how many days, hours, minutes, and seconds it has been since that person joined the organization. We don't need it in days, so we want this to be in, let's say, total years or whatever. You can select this column and go to the transform ribbon. From here, this is a data type of duration. So I can change this to total years. Again, the confusing bit here is when you select columns like this, you will have same set of buttons in both add column and transform, add column buttons and transform buttons. So it will get a little confusing, and sometimes you might add a column without realizing that that's what you're doing. But you want to just double check your steps every now and then to make sure that you're on the right track. So we'll add total years transformation, and that'll give you total years 1.001 whatever. And from here I'll just quickly round it to just one decimal place so that we'll get 1.1, and then we will call this as tenure. And again, another column is added. I can just move this in the middle, and you can see that that will appear in all these other queries. Sorry if I'm a little fast there, but I'm just trying to, because I've written some ideas that I want to show you, I just want to cover those things before we get into almost the 2-hour mark there. All right, so this is my tenure, that is my date joined. I hope that wasn't too confusing, and if you are a bit confused, please feel free to download the example workbook, and when the stream is done, I'll upload this file as well, so you got files to refer to, and you will be able to retrace the steps and then see how things changed by just clicking and going one step at a time to see what's happening. So this is how tenure is added. We'll do our third and most exciting thing. Before that, I'll just quickly jump into the chat window to see what is going on there. I just want to first give a big shout out to Ron for being there throughout the stream and helping other commenters with their questions and sharing what he knows. A big thanks, Ron. Thanks for helping the viewers. And let's see this. Gilbert says, I guess renaming the steps will be helpful in the future to know exactly where we did each change. Yes, it is useful. Because Power Query kind of, when we started, we only had like 2 or 3 steps, but right now we got close to 15, 20 steps. So it gets kind of really big very fast. The steps keep adding, and when you are building more complex transformations, chances are your steps could be hundreds, and I won't say thousands, but there could be hundreds of steps in large business situations. So one thing that they have added is, I'm not sure if I can find it here, but if I right click on a step and go to properties, you can add a description. So let's try to add a description here and then see what happens. So the description for this would be moved tenure next to date joined. So I put some description there, and when you click OK, it will be added, and it will show up as a little I next to the step. So it's kind of like adding comments in your VBA or coding languages. So when you add a comment, you will remind yourself what you're doing there, but anybody else maintaining the file will also know. So this is a good practice, but it is not directly accessible. You will have to go out of your way to do this. So I wouldn't really bother doing so much of this unless I'm doing something super complicated or my query gets really out of hand. For small queries where the steps are all visible on the screen, it might be easier to just leave them as it is and not bother. But yeah, if you want, you can do it. It's a very good practice. Jonette Connolly sends a super sticker. Big thanks, Jonette. And I think this question appeared a couple of times. Manjunath Satyamurthy says, how many languages do you speak? Kannada, Hindi? I can speak Hindi. I speak Telugu. I speak English. And that is pretty much it. I like to think I can speak Tamil, but my wife will say that I really suck at that. So I can't. But I do watch pretty much all South Indian language movies. and I enjoy them. So I can't speak them though. Anyhow, we'll move on, get into more Power Query stuff. So this is a question from Dr. Srinivasan. How to add conditional tenure for terminated records in the same tenure column? So this is a very good question. And what I suggest you to do is take it up as a challenge and try to do it. Not just you, Dr. Srinivasan, but everybody else, so that you want to fix the tenure so that it's not going all the way to today if the person has left back in December 2020, like this situation. So how would you do that? Take it up as a challenge, and if you have struggle, leave a comment in the video below when the video finally goes live, and I could probably provide some more pointers. But it's a good challenge to think about. Let's see, what is this? How well does Power Query handle lowercase fields? I deleted columns from a report and then field with upper lowercase had a trailing char, switched it to the opposite case. No delete, solved problem. Okay, now that we're talking about cases, let's get real. Power Query, as I said, is a strongly typed language. It is also case sensitive. So for it, capital female is different from small female, capital F email, and any other variations. Everything is different. Whereas in Excel, for example, Excel is not case sensitive except for few situations. You may not realize it, but let's say you are looking up for an employee name in a table using VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP. You could type the employee name in any case and the VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP will pick it up and still match, but not Power Query. Power Query wants the exact thing in exact case. If you miss the case, it won't do that. Not just the values, even your formulas and everything that you're writing, not that we are writing anything here, everything is auto-generated for us. But if you were to write anything, they will all be case sensitive as they appear. So this is something that is a very strict thing going from Excel. Excel is more relaxed and chilled out. It's like, whatever man, I'll do it. So you can write lowercase VLOOKUP works, uppercase VLOOKUP also works, but not here. If you say table.select rows without capitalizing T and S and R, it won't work. It will simply give you an error. I'll show you quickly here what happens. Reorder columns. Let's say you want to get creative and reorder these columns and you are trying to change something. So you type small g here. Error. Where is the gender column? I couldn't find it. It was right there. I just didn't spell it properly. Fix it, it will work. So this is something that you want to keep in mind when you are making changes. If you are changing things and you are building stuff on top, case is a big problem. You will have to think ahead of how do I fix this. One simple thing that people often do, especially within some situations, is make everything lowercase and then just deal with it, and at the end of the process convert it into proper case as you want. But sometimes you may lose information when you do lowercase, so you will have to be mindful about that. Okay, so we'll go into that mapping file. I'll just quickly open that. This is also something that I have provided to you in the download files. It's called, in the zip file, there is a file called bonus.txt. This is how it looks. I'm just gonna make this nice and big. So this is how that file looks. Department bonus percentage. You got procurement 3%, website 5%, sales 4.5%, HR 4%, like that. So this is the mapping table that I want to use to figure out how much bonus to give to each employee. This will introduce you to two concepts. Number one, how to merge two files, and number two, how to add the column after merging. So we'll do it like this. We'll add a new query. You don't have to go back to Excel to add a new query. You can do it once you're in the query editor. You can just do it here. This will save you a bit of time and unnecessary travel between the applications. You can right click on this white space here, new query, file, and then connect the text file. I did say at the start of the stream, I'll show you some steps in Excel, some steps in Power BI. but unfortunately we haven't been able to do that. So maybe quickly I'll switch to Power BI and then I'll show you how to combine files there just for fun, because then you will see how closely these Power Query is replicated in Power BI and Power Excel, so that you will feel like where everything is in that application as well. So I'll open Power BI. Feel free to post some questions or messages or whatever. We are still doing the giveaway. In case you have just joined the stream or whatever, there is a giveaway in the stream. I'm giving away 3 Power BI Power Query books. Well, they're not 3 different books. They're the same book, 3 copies. So in this giveaway is only open for the stream viewers. So if you are watching the stream and you're online, you will have a chance to claim it. So all you have to do is leave a comment or post a message, or yeah, if you don't post a comment, then I wouldn't really know if you're there. So you may want to leave a comment. Okay, so we will say within Power BI, get data. I'm going to get both files, my staff data file and my bonus file. I'm not going to do all the cleanup on the staff data. We'll just leave it everything as it is and just get the bonus. So the first one is Excel, and staff data. Again, the process is similar. It will open the navigator screen. From here, we will select the sheet 1, transform data. And it comes into Power BI. Here, the screen looks largely similar. There is a bit of yellow coloring instead of the green coloring on Excel, because Power BI is yellow colored. And these extra things here is column quality. That is something that I've added within Power BI. You can also do the same in Excel. I'll disable it, and now the screen looks exactly similar. Everything is same. So we'll name this as staff data. And some of these additional transformations, and there's an R script and Python script running options available within Power BI, but not in Excel at the moment, I think. But everything is largely similar. There is some additional AI, artificial intelligence, text analytics that you could do, assuming you have paid membership into Power BI program. But largely it is similar. So we got our department thing, and we want to add that, add the department as a mapping table. So we'll click on, we will right click here, new query from a text file, and bring that bonus text file as well. And this will give you a text file navigator. It will show you a preview of how the data looks like, department and bonus columns. It looks perfect for me. I'll click OK. My bonus comes through here. So I got my department bonus. I got my department column here. All I have to do is take these 2 departments and marry them, merge them. So that's what merge queries button here does. You can see the merge queries button. It is, you click on that, and then it will open this thing. You'll select the column on which you want to merge in the first query, select the second query, and select the column that you want to merge on. So you want to match department here with department there. It'll give you a preview of, I could match all the rows. If it cannot, it will also tell you that. You can also select what type of merge you want. You want a left outer or inner join, left anti and right anti, and etc. If you're not really sure what this means, then you should just leave it as it is. But if you are familiar with those database words, then you can go and change it depending on what you're trying to do. In this case, we just want left join, which means the table on the left, which is the top table, will keep all its rows, and wherever there is a mapping value in the second table, it'll bring that over. So we'll click OK. It will add the bonus column here as a new column. I'm just going to move this right next to department so you can see what's happening here on the screen. And let's just see. So it will add a bonus column. Notice that this column will not have individual data. It will have a table. Okay. This is actually introducing you to another powerful idea, which is a cell within Power Query column row is not necessarily just a single value. It could be a table, it could be a list, it could be a whole heap of different things. Again, a big can of worms that we will not open right now, but that is there. I'll turn off my face. So even though it says table, it would be a single row table. So if you select that, you will see that this department here maps to this particular row here, which is sales and 4.5% bonus. So this is the corresponding row of the bonus table that is mapped out here. So we will expand that column. We'll click on this double-sided arrow thingy and we'll just select, I want only the bonus percent, and we don't need that. If you want, you can use it, but that's not really needed. And it will give you for each department what is the bonus percent. So you can see that automatically it fetched the corresponding bonus. You could kind of think this as a very long-winded VLOOKUP, and you wouldn't really be wrong. And we got that. So now all I have to do is take this bonus percentage, multiply with that. Okay. So we will select the first column, hold down Control, select the second column. Both columns are selected. Add a column of standard arithmetic operation of multiplication. You've selected both columns, so I simply want to 4.5% of that, and we'll get a multiplication here. For some reason, Power Query wants to turn that into percentage, so it was percentage formatted, but I'll change this type to a decimal number and then double click. We'll call this as bonus 2. So there you go, how you can combine two tables to get the bonus. I hope that is good. We'll just switch back here to see what is going on. Mary sends in a super sticker. Thank you, Mary. And there's some interesting messages here. Tarang says, I'm looking for one very good and best friend for lifetime, and my mom is keep saying that books are our best friends in lifelong. Please give me my friend to me. Oh well, we'll see. There's a lot of you asking for books. I only have 3 books to give away, so this is what Gunjan, my winning speech. Thank you, Chandoo, for awarding me this super book. I would like to thank Gil Ravi for writing such a great book. Last but not least, YouTube for this live video. You haven't won it yet. David says, looking forward to the giveaway. Can't wait to receive. Thanks, David. Thanks for sticking around. And so that is how you can combine two tables. Now, I do have one more thing that I want to show you, but I'm very mindful that it is already 1 hour 52 minutes into the stream, and I really like to wrap things up before 2 hours. So I'm unfortunately going to stop here. We will pick it up maybe in the next live stream. The reason why I'm mentioning it is when I gave the download files, I have actually another file called Hyderabad data. I'll briefly explain what I wanted to do. I won't actually do this now because it's going to take another good 15 minutes, and I think it's really unfair to stretch it that far. But this is about the data is for this made up company called Awesome Chocolates, which is the same company that I use in all my courses. And the data set is for our head office in, let's just say, Sydney. And they recently opened another branch in Hyderabad. So the Hyderabad staff data came to us in this text file. As you could see, their data is maintained differently. They got ID. So it's not employee ID, it's ID. Name and gender in one column. They don't have age, they have date of birth. Then the department, date of join. Nobody left, so they don't have termination date, but they have salary. So we would like to merge this and that together into one big table. That sort of an operation is called append, and get the final data. But as you could clearly see, this data is different from that. So what do we need to do to make this data look like that data and then combine them? That's the challenge that I really wanted to show. But unfortunately, we are really way out of the time limit now. I wanted to really do all of this in 90 minutes, but hey, we had fun. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something new. But that file is given to you, the Hyderabad data text file. So feel free to take it up as another challenge. And if you have some struggle You can post a comment, and maybe others can help you out or whatever. But I will talk more about how to learn Power Query, because I think that is more important than just learning few more things. We did cover quite a bit of ground, so there is a lot of value in there, and I don't want you to feel overwhelmed when we finish all of this. So we'll close this guy here. Yes. And I'll save this Power BI file as well parallelly later, but for now I'm gonna switch to my slides. Let me just see what is having. So Naina Raj says, good to see comparison of Excel and Power BI. And thank you. Thank you for saying that. That's really my intention. I want to show you that it is the same tool that is available both in Excel and Power BI. And this is the big reason why I feel like if there is one thing that you want to learn this year, make it Power Query. Especially if you're watching my channel, you're here, chances are you're already doing data work. So Power Query learning will take you more ahead than anything else that you would learn this year. So definitely prioritize that. Excel Work says, if I don't get the books, I'll settle for a box of chocolates from Awesome Chocolates. Thank you, Excel Works. You will just have to walk in and buy a box of chocolates from any other store and just think these are awesome. I think chocolates are awesome, irrespective of where they come from. And Cassandra says, thank you very much, Chandoo. It is great always. Thank you, Cassandra. Parvez says, enjoyed this session, Chandoo. Thank you, Parvez. And this is a super sticker from Gilbert. Thank you, Gilbert. Good to have you on the stream, and awesome to help you out as well. Nainara says, were you in HR when you started your career? I'm not per se in HR. I think everybody kind of meets HR when they start their career. But I'm not in a HR situations early on in my career. But I recently, for the last 3-4 years, most of the consulting and client work that I did is in the HR space. So that's how I picked up a lot of human resources, analytics, and situational stuff. And that's also the reason why I try to bring those examples as and when possible. Okay, we will go and let me quickly talk about more ways to learn Power Query, because this is super important that you give it a bit time and set aside some activities to practice and all of that. So I'll talk about some of my favorite ways. So 3 things: books, channels, and courses. The books that I recommend are, right now I'm recommending these 2 books. There is a caveat though. This book is already available, Collect, Combine, and Transform Data Using Power Query in Excel and Power BI. This is by Gil Raviv. Again, I don't receive any commission for recommending these books. These are the books genuinely I think are extremely good. I have read them, I use them, and I stand by them. So get them. Okay. The second book is Master Your Data with Excel and Power BI by Ken Pulse and Miguel Escobar. This second book is actually, it's not yet out. If you go to Amazon, you will see that this book will be released in whenever. I think it's supposed to come out now, but I think it's going to come out in October. So I'll tell you a small story now. I emailed both Gil and Ken when I announced this stream, because I kind of I'm not trying to name drop or anything. I know them personally. So I emailed both of them saying that, hey, I'm doing this live stream at the end of the month. It would be awesome to give away some of your books. If you have got any copies, let me know. Otherwise, I'll buy them on Amazon and I'll still do the giveaway. Gil immediately sent that, but Ken came back and said, hey, the book has been not yet officially released. We have only released the digital copy, and we are not really figured out how to distribute it for complimentary basis and all of that. So then I told Ken, okay, wait, we will wait for your book to come out, because I would love to buy the physical copy as well. So I'm going to do a giveaway on Ken's book for maybe an upcoming stream. I don't really know when that's going to happen, but if and when it happens, maybe it's for Christmas or the Thanksgiving time period, I'll do the giveaway for that. But for now, I'm giving away 3 copies of Gill's book. But these 2 books are good. In fact, I showed you in my previous streams, I showed this book. So this is the version 1 of that monkey book. You can see that little monkey. They've changed that now. But this is called M is for Data Monkey, because M is the programming language that is used in Power Query. So this was their version 1 of the book. This is how I learned my M language. And when I moved from India to New Zealand, this is one of the books that I carried all the way along because this is such a valuable book to understand and use and apply the M language techniques. So if you are really looking for a book, you can still get this older version. But the big problem with Power Query and Power BI is every month Microsoft is changing them, adding new versions. They renamed the ribbon as Get and Transform Data, added buttons, removed. There was no PDF option 5 years ago, but now there is. So things change. So if you're reading an older book, you will not know everything, and you will also use a longer and more complicated way of doing certain things than what is available today. So this is the reason why I think getting the latest book is useful. But book is not the only way to learn. There are other ways as well. So my recommendation is, if you have enjoyed this stream, but if you are feeling more thirsty for Power Query, and if you're feeling a bit annoyed with all the dad jokes and you just want to get to the point, not be interrupted by all these chat messages or whatever else, just want to learn, then watch this video. This is something that I created 1.5 years or 2 years ago, no, 1.5 years ago. Power Query, it's like a 90-minute tutorial where I show it to you how Power Query works with 4 full-length examples. So many of the concepts that I covered here are part of the first example. And then there are 3 more examples where it goes quite in depth, and it is on YouTube. So just watch it. I put a link to that in the video description. If you feel like 2 hours with Chandoo is not enough, I need to get like another 2 hours of him, that is the video where you can go and watch. Be warned though, you will see me in full beard when you watch this video. This is because I created this video during the early COVID lockdown times last year, and at that time I also decided that I'm gonna just go grow beard. So of course you won't see me throughout the video. At the intro section I'll show up, and then that's pretty much it. After that it's all Excel. So that is one place. But if you like YouTube and you want to learn Power Query, these are some of the channels that I frequently go. Guy in a Cube, Karbal, Laila Garani, Excel is Fun. They all, they're not exclusive Power Query channels, but they talk about Power Query as part of many other things. So feel free to check them out and enjoy their content. Some of them have dedicated Power Query playlists. Others do have 1 or 2 videos here and there. Just check them out. They got some amazing content as always. And last but not least, if you want a more handheld course kind of thing where you will see how Power Query is used in the overall process flow, then please consider my online class, Power BI Playdate. It's an online Power BI course where I teach Power BI, but as I said earlier in some of my other videos and streams, Power BI is not one thing. It is part of Power Query, Power Pivot, and the visual layer. So this Playdate basically goes into all the 3 layers and explains to you how to use them together with many real-life examples. If you are interested, there is a link for that in the video description. Check it out. And if you want to join, email me. The course is actually currently closed, but we are just letting people in the back door. So if you want to come and join us, just email me and I'll tell you how to enroll into the program. All right, that brings us to the giveaway. Now, I haven't really figured out how to pick the random winner. I mean, I could kind of scroll through this and stop wherever my mouse stops and do it. But I feel like this is unfair, especially because there's lots of comments. So I'll have to think more scientifically. But for now, I'll just switch to the comments here just to read up what is happening with everybody else. And then I'll announce the winners. Valentin says, Power Query is new to me. It did seem like a lot. I saw online that Power BI is essentially Power Query and Power Pivot combined. Yeah, you weren't wrong. Power Query is one of the core critical components of Power BI ecosystem. And the point of this stream is to not overwhelm you or anybody else. Hopefully what I showed gave you enough courage to click on the buttons, play with things, and see how it pans out. a good idea would be to always keep backups and keep trying. The initial, like, I didn't learn Power Query in one stream. It took me good 3-4 months before I actually understood what it is and how it can be applied, and then I started using. But it is also because I have got a good database and SQL background, so for me it was easier to connect the dots. But if you're coming brand new, then it may be hard for you to really see how and where this would fit in. So don't beat yourself up, enjoy the journey, take it slow, and you will really appreciate it, all the effort that goes into it when you do it. Pratish says, after first time here, after getting a lot of emails since a while, enjoyed and learning few stuffs. Thank you, Chandoo. Thank you, Pratish. Welcome, and hopefully we'll see you again next time. Jagoda says, huge thanks, Chandoo. Well spent 2 hours for me. Thank you so much. It was really fun talking to you and rest of you others on the stream for 2 hours. Priyanshu says, can you tell us your LinkedIn name? I want to connect with you. You can just find me on LinkedIn. Just search for Chandoo. I don't really know what sort of benefit you would have by connecting with me, but feel free to follow me there. But yeah, I connect more with my YouTube audience here because it's stream, whereas on LinkedIn, I randomly post once in a while. A good place if you are into social media is to connect with me on Twitter. Again, I'm not really trying to gain any Twitter followers or anything through this live stream, but it just so happens that I post more often on Twitter. So my user ID is R1C1. It's basically row 1, column 1. That's the old notation of referring to things in Excel, and you can follow me there. I post quite regularly there, including just before this stream started. So feel free to check me out there if you really want to connect. George says, great session. Thank you, Chandoo. You're welcome, George. Pradeep Kumar says, Anna, మీరు చాలా బాగా చెప్పారు. Thank you, Pradeep, which simply in Telugu it means you explained it well. Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Henry from Dominican Republic, great tutorial, Chandoo. Thank you. All right. There's quite a few thank you messages, and I'm really humbled and thankful that most of you have chosen to spend some of your Friday evening with me to learn Power Query, share some of your witty comments and jokes, and stick around and watch me explain things so that you can also learn and apply this. Now, time for us to figure out the winners. I don't want it to be like a random mouse click. So what I think will be fun is use Power Query to pick the winner. I know this is going to drag for another 5-10 minutes. Feel free to hang around. If you got things to do, you're more than welcome to leave. What I will do is I will pick winners, and then I'll just say the names out on the chat window in the stream. If you are there, you message me back. If you're not there, we'll go and keep picking things. So how I'm going to do it is I'll show it to you. Just give me a second here while I figure out what I'm trying to get shareable link. So this is what I normally do for every live stream as well. When the stream finishes, because there's lots of comments and I get to read some, but not all of them. There's usually more than 500, 600 comments when I run the stream. When the stream finishes, I run a small one-line Python script. I talked about this in another video as well. What this script does is it will go and fetch all the live comments as a text file. So I'm going to run this stream right now. So any comments you post after this point of time will not be eligible for the book giveaway. But hey, you're more than welcome to still stick around, say nice things or say hello or whatever. But I'll fetch all the comments up until this point, and then we will get the text file. We will load the text file into Power Query. We will then ask Power Query to randomly sort them. But first we will remove any duplicate comments from the same person. So if you have posted multiple times, your name will only appear once. So everybody has equal chance. And then I'll pick the randomly sort, and then I'll just read out the first 3 names. Sound good? All right, let's just do this. So So I'm gonna open my command prompt here. I'll just share my screen as it happens. And okay, go to this folder. If the screen is not readable, that don't worry, you're not meant to read things that are there. And okay, so I'm running the script. It is doing its thing. It is extracting. Oh, what is this? This is the first time I got an error, so I'm not really sure what it means. It didn't really work. Okay. I've never tested it while the stream is running live, so it could be because of that. Normally it works well when the stream is finished. All right, this is of no good. I don't want to waste your time now. Okay, I'll just read out some random names. And what I'll do is I'll give like 2 now, and then the third one I'll do it when the live stream extract can be done. So the only problem with this approach is I can't even see all the comments. It kind of stops at the last 100 now. So it is really unfair, but I'm scrolling. Okay. That's the first comment. Pradeep Kumar, if you are there, leave a comment now and I'll just tell you how to get in touch anyway. But yeah, so that's the first one. We'll see. And this is the second one, Mari. And that's the third one, Vidyashri. So if your name appeared, feel free to reach out to me and then I'll see how I can get you the book. So Pradeep Kumar, Vidyashri and Mari Ji. And someone asked this question, which is, can you share the Python code? Well, it is not a Python code that I wrote. It is actually called Chat Downloader. So if you look up online, you will see that there. DJB says, sounds like a great demo of Power Query to use it for the giveaway. Yeah, it would have been great. It's just I couldn't run the script because it came up with an error. I think it was because the stream is still going on, so it couldn't fetch the comments. It will only work when the stream is done, which is weird. But hey. So that says, why don't you do it afterwards? Why do you have to do it now? I thought it would be fun, but I'm sorry I didn't test it. Yeah, Chari says, you said third will be after the chat ends. I know I did, right? Maybe I'll give the fourth one after the video ends. So Matt Ferguson says, great session, Chandoo. Thank you, Matt. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I had good time as well. There were very few technical hiccups. And Excel has been super quiet all along. She was not making any fuss after that initial few minutes of getting confused with what's going on now. So Pradeep Kumar comes back and says, I'm there. Thanks, Pradeep. All you have to do is email me. My email address is on my YouTube about section. Just find it and send an email to me, and then I'll forward the download code to you. Same for the other two. If you are here, just email me, and I will announce one more winner in the chat comment thingy later on. What happens is usually when you have like a thing like this, a giveaway, and you announce the winner, sometimes the person is no longer online, so they never see it and they never come back. So if I don't hear from either of those two, I will also give away those books in the chat window. So just check back after a day or two and then you will see your name. Satish says, can you suggest any books on Power Query? I thought that's what I just did. Were you not watching it, mate? All right, here is my book recommendations again, coming up on the screen. These are the two books. I put the links for these two books on the video description already. All you have to do is just look at the video description of this stream. It was already there, but when you check it again, you will find that these two books. The author names are also there. You can go to Amazon link from there, but if you want, you can find it from other booksellers as well. Excel Work says, another super session, Chandoo. Picked up a few things I did not know, and congratulations to the winners. Well done, everybody. Big thanks to Excel Works as well. You are throughout the session hanging there and posting messages and helping others as well. So thank you so much for that, and lots of love to you. This is from Judy and Jeff, I think. When you have a new file like with the next month's data, how do you bring it in and have the new changes applied? Do you have to pull it in from the same place? So the way we have done it in this example is we worked under the assumption that when the new file comes, it will be either replaced by this file or somebody will change this file and add the extra data at the bottom. So that is the assumption. But in many real life situations, what could also happen is every month you will only get that month's employee data as one file. So July one file, August one file, September one file. And in such situations, you would have to use another option that is available in Excel. Go here, close it, keep. So if you go to data, get data. So we were using this option from file, but if you use this one from folder, this is basically kind of like that. It is a folder automation option wherein you say that all my files are in this folder. Can you go and get everything? They all have the same format. Just combine everything and give me one big file, and it will do it. I've not shown that method to you, but the other Power Query video that I recommended, it's basically an hour and a half long. I think I showed some of those examples there. So check it out. This is a message from Umakant. Anna, meer Telugu maatladutunte bagundi. Lots of love from India. Thank you, Umakant. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I have this weird idea in my mind that maybe I should do like a Telugu only stream just to connect with some of the Telugu audience. But I don't think I'll ever do it. Maybe I'll do it sometime. I don't know. We'll see where that goes. This is a different question that is not related to Power Query. Ram Nivas says, where to get Power BI published to web feature for free? So I'm not really sure exactly the steps that you need, but it is possible. Microsoft keeps changing the way this is done from version to, not version to version, but over time. So you will want to just search online for that exact thing to find out what is the latest instruction. But I believe it all begins with creating a free on Microsoft account or something like that, which will then you can use to set up your own Power BI online workspace, and from there you can publish. So this is how I do it now. Sergio says, thanks from Argentina. Big thanks to you, Sergio. And all right, I think that is pretty much it. I hope you all had fun. I had loads of fun as well. My coffee is nearly done, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll see you all again at the end of next month with another topic. If you've got any topic suggestions for the end of this month, end of the month live streams, let me know in the community page where I usually ask a question every now and then. You can also leave a comment on this video if you want to see something else explained. But yeah, I've got things like I always think about like what am I doing next month, and I try to jot down some ideas, but I would love to hear from you if you want to see me explain or do something specific. And as always, I try to keep everything under 2 hours, but every time I do the stream, it is quite a lot of fun, and things just keep going on, and even after 2.5 hours almost, we still have 170 people watching the stream. So I'm really humbled, and I'm amazed by all the love and support that you show on this channel and my work. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all again next month. Bye bye. And I will of course upload the files in the stream video description maybe a couple of hours later, once I go downstairs, take a nap, and finish my breakfast and come back upstairs. All right, there's already suggestions, like Chari says M language. Sure. Matt says great session, really helpful for beginners like me. Thank you, Matt. And Valenton says keep well, everyone. Yes, of course, keep well. I'll just share quick personal updates as well. August has been an amazing month for me. I did a mid-month live stream, some of you might have joined, where I unboxed the $100,000 subscribers play button. I think you can see it now there. That's its home now, right next to my office plant. And so I did that at the 15th or 13th of August or something like that, and we had quite a few people show up for that, so that was good. And recently, for the last couple of, I think a week or maybe 8-9 days now, New Zealand has been under the lockdown again due to a small COVID outbreak. So we are all home, not doing much. Of course, I'm home all the time. I'm working from home for last so many years. So for me, it's not different, but I think that is the reason why Excel is a bit confused, because everybody is home all the time. So she's a bit stressed that she's not getting her own alone time to just sit and enjoy the sun and do nothing. All right. Yes, of course, you all have a good weekend as well. I think Sergio Vetri's keyboard is stuck because he keeps saying book, book, book. And Mike Brown says, is there a best resource out there for M code? The best resource that I could think of is this book, but this is actually a few years old now. So some of the language syntax and the methods that are used are a bit old for what is happening nowadays. I think what would be better is, don't think of learning M code. Instead, think of using the Power Query screen interface, because a lot is possible just with clicking buttons. And let's say in M code, you could write one step, and in screens, you could do it in 3 steps. I feel like those 3 steps are a lot better than doing that one line M code, simply because the M code is not one of your usual languages, and it is a very specific language that you cannot reuse anywhere else. Whereas if you take something like Excel formula language, it is more widely available, versatile, and all of that. If you take general programming like VBA, the concepts that you're learning can be applied in multiple places. But the M code, the M language is really just designed for Power Query. So whatever you're learning there, you can't really apply elsewhere. It doesn't really work like a traditional programming language. So for that reason, I would say hold off on learning M until you really have to do it. But if you have to learn, then there's plenty of online resources. I think Chris Webb has a good blog where he talks about M language things. I'll probably add a link to that in the video description later on. So yeah, good luck with that. All right, that's pretty much it, guys. I think I'll wrap it up now. Good to have you all in the stream. See you again next month, and stay safe. Enjoy your week, and good luck with Power Query. Bye-bye.